the Smith and Wesson M&P Shield X comp carry model. Let's check it out. When Smith and Wesson introduced the M&P Shield, it was a single stack magazine, 9mm, but it was very popular because it was so thin, so easy to carry. Then they introduced the Shield Plus, which had a double stack magazine, increased the mag capacity, and yet barely extended any part of the grip. Now they're introducing the M&P Shield X. There are a lot of upgrades over the original Shield and Shield Plus, but this is the Performance Center comp carry model. So it makes it really flat to shoot. We've done a full review on the Shield X, but this definitely takes it up a notch. Now we want to give a big thank you to Smith and Wesson for sending the M&P Shield X Performance Center carry comp model for this review. Smith and Wesson is going to let me keep this gun, but it's not going to change the pros and cons of this review. And a big thank you to Smith and Wesson. Well guys, we have the Smith and Wesson M&P Shield X, and this is the comp carry model. It is a Performance Center model. Now we did an original review of the new X model. Love it. There's a lot of cool upgrades. But one thing is the frame and the lower half is the exact same as the Performance Center. So we're going to look specifically at the top half, but we're going to talk about the rest of it as well. First off, we have a 13 round magazine, so you have a 14 round full capacity. Check the chamber and it's empty. But it also comes with a 15 round magazine, and it just extends the grip a little bit. Now one of the things about the Shield Plus is it had a 10 round magazine capacity, so it had a shorter grip. Now we're going with more of a full-size grip, and then it extends it out if you want to add that additional round capacity, but yet it's still super thin. Now first thing you're going to notice is that comp, and the carry comp is a ported barrel, has the ported slide, it has a lot of room to be able to push those gases out, and it keeps that muzzle flat. And with the X model they had that beaver tail they incorporated, so it just gives you even more recoil mitigation just by getting that hand up. The web of your hand just rests on that beaver tail, and it just helps. Now there are some memory pads right here, so when you're firing, this makes a very controllable, very small carry option. With the comp, it's going to make it just even flatter shooting. Now it is optics ready, which the original Shield X was as well. This is for the Shield RMSC footprint, which is the most popular, especially with the micro red dot or green dot sights. Speaking of sights, we have a tritium outlined with a yellow donut right at the top. That makes it really easy to see, and we have blacked out rear sights that are serrated. So a very easy sight picture to see whether you want to go with your red dot or you want to go with the standard sights. And we have porting right here on the side of the barrel. Now one thing about the barrel, if we bring it back, it's fluted. Now that's for the Performance Center only, and here you get a little bit better look at the port in the barrel. It is crowned, so it's going to preserve your accuracy. And this is a stainless steel slide, stainless steel barrel, which Smith and Wesson does. And then they have the Armor Night finish covering it, which is more of a nitride finish that just really holds up well. I love nitride finishes more than about any other type finish. And here you can see, even with the original Shield X, this has a much nicer finish on the slide. Now this has a little more of a matte finish, but I just think that's absolutely beautiful. I love, again, what Performance Center does. The slide serrations have been improved, and I'm going to go ahead and bring back the regular X. So we have more improved, closer, but more directional slide serrations. They're a little bit wider here on the original, and it's the same toward the back. Also, we have front serrations right here, just at the front of the slide. Here on top is a big difference. Now, with the Shield X, it comes up, but with the Performance Center, it has a really beautiful design that's very functional. And so we're able to get that and just pull it. You can grip it, and honestly, it just looks really cool. And it's going to cut down on glare, especially on out. And you have this matte finish polymer optic cover, so it's just going to keep the glare down. Loaded chamber indicator right here at the top. You'll be able to see the brass through it. The front's been beveled off just to make it easier to slip in and out of holsters. We have a 2-slot Picatinny rail. And then we have kind of a polymer that has a little bit of texturing all throughout. It is a little smooth, but then we have the more aggressive texturing coming down the back strap and the front strap. And guys, that is where you grip the handgun, and this is where you put most of your pressure. If there's not any texturing here, it can cant a little bit, but the way they've got this around the sides and the back, it's going to really allow you to grip hold of it and have a good solid firm grip. And we have memory pads on both sides, which act as a little bit of a thumb rest, so when you're firing the gun, again, it's just going to help mitigate the recoil. And guys, with these smaller handguns, that's more important than even with the larger ones, because it just has a little more snap to it typically, but obviously with the comp, it's going to make it shoot really nice. To be honest with you, the Shield X was a great flat shooting handgun, and it did have the beaver tail, which I really like that they're starting to add that, especially to these polymer frame handguns. But it does give you a full grip all the way down the back of the grip. There's no additional back straps, no way to change this out, but it does give you a nice firm grip. And even those with smaller hands, it's going to be a little bit less of a reach to the trigger. Now the trigger is a flat face trigger, and so it's going to give it a lot more of that geometry that makes this pull in the right direction. So here we have our trigger safety, and you can see it moving up out of the way when you press it, but if you get it on the side, it's not going to activate the trigger, and that's one of the reasons why they add it. Now here, press, comes to a wall, a nice break. There's a little hesitation right before the pull, but a nice break. Reset right about there. So let's go ahead and check our trigger pull weight with our Lyman trigger gauge from Brownells. 4 pounds, 3.5 ounces. 4 pounds, 5.1 ounces. So a nice trigger pull under the 5-pound range. Your mag release is switchable to the other side. We have an external extractor. Again, we do have that fluted barrel, which really just gives you more surface tension across the barrel, but it's just also a nice touch to it. Nice undercut right here under the trigger guard, and there is texturing at the front of the trigger guard as well. But here we have the original Shield Plus, and this is in the Performance Center. It has the comp carry model. One of the things that they did was extend the slide out. Not by much, maybe a ½ inch, but it does give you a little extra slide length. But one thing that's the biggest difference is just the grip. So here we have an extended magazine. This is 13 rounds, but you'll notice that we have a considerable amount of difference right here. So without the magazine, you're getting 2 additional rounds with just a little bit of an extension of the grip. Now the grip texturing on the Shield X is just a touch more aggressive, but we do have this panel that comes through that's less aggressive. With the original Shield Plus, they have the texturing that goes really pretty much all the way around the grip, but they have a large area right here that's more smooth, and we've built that up with the Shield X. Serrations are just directional, and again, Performance Center, and then we have directional slide serrations at the top of the slide. And it is also optics ready. But no Picatinny rail on the original Shield Plus, and so they've added those 2 accessory rails on the front. So we can go with light, we can go with a red dot, and it gives us full capacity, and we have the comp. And guys, I'm gonna tell you, there's a lot of guys that are carrying the 2.0, and a lot of my friends that are big YouTube channels, they're carrying the 2.0. It would surprise you. And I carry this, every day. Now, if I'm going to go out to dinner, if I'm going somewhere where I want a little more round capacity and a higher caliber, because this is in .380 ACP, I'm going to bring something a little bit larger, but it has a 10-round magazine. You can get a 12-rounder. Of course, this gun's empty. This is the Performance Center model. It is also the comp carry. But there are a lot of similarities between the Bodyguard 2.0 and the new M&P Shield X. And then with the Performance Center, a lot of the things are mirrored there as well. So I really like the upgrades that they're bringing with the Shield X. And then take the Performance Center and we just have a lot of upgrades. And guys, for a comparison, I have a Glock 19, which is kind of a benchmark. You can see how thin the Shield X is. In fact, it's 0.9 inches in width. So you're getting a very thin handgun that's very concealable. And yet, it has the same round capacity with the extended magazine as the Glock 19. You definitely have a difference, but again, you've got a very thin handgun. Shield X, carry comp model, Performance Center. 20.55 ounces. Compared to the Bodyguard 2.0, under 12 ounces. This thing is so easy to carry. A big thank you to Fiocchi for sponsoring our ammo, all made in the USA, one of the biggest suppliers of ammunition in the country. Also, big thanks to Lula Loaders for saving our thumbs. And we're going to be shooting the comped model, but we're also going to be shooting the traditional X model as well. Just do a little comparison. Guys, when it comes to the Shield X, really like it. I mean, it's a big upgrade with the Shield Plus and then original Shield. I mean, they're moving it up incrementally. But with the compensator, with the Performance Center, this definitely takes it up a notch because, number one, comps are very popular. But the reason they're popular is because it just keeps that muzzle rise or the muzzle flip down. And when you get into these thinner handguns, it can make more of a difference. We have shot them side by side, and you know, I will be talking about that. But this is definitely less muzzle rise, but you can feel it a little bit in your hand, but very effective. And then with the Performance Center, how they're, you know, doing the extra slide serrations, it just makes it a better pistol or a little bit more fancier pistol. The grip, I like it. I mean, it's that M&P texturing, and it's a little more aggressive. They've kind of toned it down from some of the originals, but I really like the texturing on this. The trigger is pretty good. It's not the best, but it's not bad either. It's that flat face. You can feel the reset pretty good. I mean, it just has a nice shoot feel to it. And then, of course, it's optics ready. And it's a Smith and Wesson. And, you know, you've got your 13+1 magazines, and then, you know, there are extensions. I think there's the 15-round mag. So, goes in really well. It's really thin. So this is going to be a great concealed carry option. I mean, you see it does shoot really flat. I mean, it just has that low muzzle rise. Now, you still have the recoil and you feel it a little bit more in your hand. It just kind of, those gases just push down. Still have the slide coming back. But overall, the Shield series has been extremely popular, and for good reason. Now the X series and then the X Performance Center comp version. You know, I keep seeing these new versions coming out, and they just keep getting better and better. Yeah. If you ever need this for self-defense, you're going to stay right on target. Definitely a lot difference with the muzzle rise. I watched the sight when I was shooting the comp, and it stayed just like this. It just a teeny bounce. So my eyes never left my front sight. With the standard X, you know, just a little more recoil. To be honest, it wasn't that much difference. I think the biggest difference is what you feel in your hand. But honestly, this did give me some flatter shooting. But the guns are designed very well. So with a comp or without, you're going to get a little more advantage with the comp for sure. But really, in practical shooting, it may not make that much of a difference. What do we think about the difference?
This one definitely feels a lot steadier as I'm shooting. It feels like I'm not having to put any fight into it. It feels like it's doing all the work for me. I just love those grips though on both of those. It just fits right into my hand. But I definitely like the comp better. Just feel like I have a little more control.
All right, for disassembly, we're going to drop our magazine, go ahead and check the chamber, make sure the gun is empty. Now let's put it back in the slide lock. We're going to bring our takedown lever into the down position. Now if you'll notice, down into the mag well there is a lime green lever, and if we take and just bring it down, just like this, we don't have to pull the trigger, and that just deactivates the striker. So as we bring our slide off, it'll come right off. Now you can pull the trigger, and that is an option, but this just makes it even that much more safe. Next, we have our recoil spring and guide rod, and it is that flat recoil spring. It's metal. And then we have our barrel, and again, it is fluted, and it does have that ported barrel, and of course, we have our crown again. And this is a 3.6-inch barrel, so it doesn't extend any more than the standard X model. And then just a look at the frame, but you know, it's just typical polymer frame striker fire design. Now you'll notice that that little lever is down, and if you're concerned about it, when you re-enter your magazine, it puts the lever right back into place. Of course, the slide's very well done, as typical for Smith and Wesson. And guys, that's all you need to do to field strip. For reassembly, just drop in your barrel, put in your recoil spring and guide rod. You'll notice that the flat end goes right here at the back of your barrel. Now I want to show you one thing when you're putting your slide back over your slide rails. Right here is a small little rail section, and you need to make sure that you're holding it down to go over it. And so then you can just line it up and bring it back. Now we want to go ahead and put it into slide lock, and then we're going to bring our lever up and bring it back down. And I have to deactivate that little bar. It goes right back up into place, and then I can pull the trigger and we're ready to go. One of the things you don't have to worry about is that lever staying in the down position. Once you put the magazine in again, it goes right back into place. Otis makes some of the best cleaning equipment out there. They make a number of different kits that are dedicated for different rifles, pistols. They also have Shooter's Choice, which makes excellent CLP and bore solvent and different cleaning materials. The ripcord is one of their signatures, and there's a whole system based around it. They are suppliers to the U.S. military. So check out Otis Technologies, highly recommended, and we want to thank Otis for being a sponsor of the channel. The MSRP is $6.99. On the standard model, it's $5.99. That's $100 more just for the extras that go onto the top, the fluted barrel, the carry comp, the slide ports. Very effective slide serrations and the serrations on the top of the slide. I think that that's really, if those are things that you like, it really is worth the money, and that's in my opinion. I love that they do have, for this size pistol, your accessory rail or your Picatinny rail. Texturing is aggressive. It's going to be great for whatever conditions you're in. And yet you have some smoothness, but yet it rides up pretty high. I like the memory pads. The flat face triggers for a polymer striker fire pistol, I mean, you're going to get good results. And it's what, about 4.5 pounds, so it's not bad. Beaver tail is a big plus. And the mag capacity, you're getting 13 plus 1, and then you add in 15 plus 1 for a full carry. Being RMSC compatible, and of course it's direct mount, and then of course you have your sights dovetailed in. You can change those out. There's a plethora of different options. Overall, a very small handgun. Now, what is some cons? Well, some people are not big fans of comps because they're loud. They don't really give night blindness as far as shooting at night, and I've done a lot of shooting with comps, unless it's a real aggressive comp. And with this particular model, it doesn't extend the barrel length at all. I love the slide serrations on the top. It's just a nice touch with the Performance Center. Having the 13 or 15 round mag capacity is definitely a big plus. And even for those guys that are large, with a small pistol, it's really thin, but yet you've got a full grip on the handgun. And with the Bodyguard 2.0, it's a very small handgun, but yet it's 380 ACP, getting that 9mm capacity and effective ballistically that's just going to be a better man stopper. But it is considerably bigger than the Bodyguard 2.0, which makes a great little deep cover or deep concealment handgun. But yet the Shield X, especially with the Performance Center comp carry model, it just makes an excellent concealed carry option as well. Guys, if you already have the M&P Shield or the Shield Plus, is the X worth the upgrade? With the extended beaver tail, being optics ready, if you're going to go with the carry comp, it's just going to shoot a lot flatter, but that's for you to decide. The Shield series has been hugely popular, and with the X, it just gives you a lot more advantages. And for concealed carry, you want all the advantages you can have. And again, a big thank you to Smith and Wesson for sending the M&P Shield X Performance Center carry comp model for this review. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. What about that? Okay. And this is a Performance Center model. This is from the Performance Center. Comp carry model, and this is the Performance Center. That's a lot of whatever. What is that? A lot of something. A lot of bull crap. And yet it was still the same size. Okay. The same size. It was the same size. Okay, I didn't check the freaking chamber. I didn't check the blasted chamber. Very popular. At the time, comp carry model for this review, and my nose is in the sun. A whole nother level. To be honest, I think this is really on the heels of your mama and your grandmama. And your grandmama wears combat boots.